Okay, so I got cut off, and then it took a real long time to load. So I'm not sure we're going to get through everything today, but anyway, here is where I left off. So Billy is the beginning of chapter 4. He's walking through his daughter's house after he can't sleep, his daughter's room. She had a Princess telephone extension all her own on her windowsill. Its tiny nightlight stared at Billy, and then it rang. Princess telephone is the type of phone you would buy your daughter or something back in the 60s. It was generally pink. Princess, of course, is also the name of the dog at the beginning of chapter 3, the German Shepherd that was used to round up American soldiers. Right? Billy answered. There was a drunk on the other end. Billy could almost smell his breath, mustard gas and roses. It was a wrong number. Billy hung up. There was a soft drink bottle on the windowsill. Its label boasted that it contained no nourishment whatsoever. Um, I'm embarrassed that it took me many years before I realized that we actually know who um, the drunk dialer is here. Does anybody know why? I've highlighted mustard gas and roses. We saw that elsewhere. That's very good, Leviticus. In chapter 1, Vonnegut says that he, Vonnegut, not Billy, um, gets drunk and drunk dials old girlfriends and friends after he drives his wife away with the breath like mustard gas and roses. So, like Leviticus said, this is actually the author drunk dialing the main character of his novel. It's a very metafictional moment. If you recall, metafiction is when a work of fiction draws attention to itself as a work of fiction. I used the example of Ferris Bueller talking to the audience in that movie, or breaking the fourth wall in drama, or Deadpool, where he knows he's in a movie and he comments on things that are going on, even outside of the movie in the Marvel universe. Um, okay, so Vonnegut drunk dials his main character, which doesn't amount to anything. Billy padded downstairs in his blue and ivory feet. We've already talked about the reference. He went into the kitchen where the moonlight called his attention to a half bottle of champagne uh, on the kitchen table, and all that was left from the reception in the tent. Somebody had stoppered it again. Drink me, it seemed to say, again personifying something. I didn't mention the soft drink bottle. This isn't a direct reference, but Billy, if you recall, was described as a young man to be shaped like a Coca-Cola bottle, sort of wide at the bottom and narrow at the top. So Billy uncorked it with his thumbs. It didn't make a pop. The champagne was dead. So it goes. Billy looked at the clock on the gas stove. He had an hour to kill before the saucer came. So this is in a very short period at the beginning of his chapter. Vonnegut has revisited or connected all of the repeating imagery. It is also a break from the narrative in World War II to 1967 when Billy's middle aged. Sort of my big question of the day, and I'm going to actually leave this out there for you to answer on chat if you can, and I will answer it later, is why do you think Vonnegut decides to use this little bit of metafiction here, other than just to entertain us, and to draw all of his literary devices together at the beginning of the segment, where Billy then goes and watches a World War II movie backwards and then gets kidnapped by aliens. Um, so my question again is, why do you think Vonnegut draws so much attention to the fact that he's writing a novel and that this is a work of fiction, even though last chapter he highlighted it was not a work of fiction, right before Billy gets captured by aliens? And I say he highlighted last chapter that it wasn't because that's where he says, I was there, um, O'Hare was there. All right, I got to stop.